Hello, everybody, and welcome to How to Pave the Way to Growth for Corporate Leaders. You know that feeling when all cylinders are firing and whatever you focus your efforts on, good things happen? Oftentimes, we stumble upon that path by accident, but today I'm actually going to deconstruct how to create the conditions so that you can mindfully and intentionally create that situation in your life today to get you to whatever challenge that you're trying to solve. So, as a corporate leader, you might be looking for a new role, perhaps even a whole new career or way to approach your career. You may be looking to optimize your leadership approach, or you may be seeking a promotion. The process that I'm about to unveil to you will help you get to the goal that you've identified, no matter what it is, as a corporate leader. This is always more fun when I hear from the people who are joining me. So I'd love to hear from you all. Pop in chat where you're joining me from and what you're hoping to get out of today's session. While you do that, I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint. It is back to school time, and we are surrounded by all the retail sales and excitement accompanying that time of year. My oldest daughter, hard as it is to believe, just started kindergarten on Wednesday. So it's been a busy week at the Sanchez household. Luckily, she's really enjoyed her first couple days, so it's been a happy time. But it's really got me thinking. It's likely that your social media is filled with all kinds of pictures of kids going back to school and holding that cute little sign about what grade they're starting. I'm noticing in a lot of these signs it says, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I'm realizing that it's really common for us to start asking kids this at a very young age. What do you want to be when you grow up? As kids, any answer is a safe answer. You're just trying to invite dialogue at this point and creativity and thought, right? So kids can say, "Oh, I want to be a garbage person," or "I want to be a dancer, I want to be a singer, I want to be a marine biologist." And any and all answers are accepted. And we smile at them. Something shifts as we get older and we get closer to actually actualizing and pursuing the career that we want to go on. We start to get feedback from influential people around us as we share our career aspirations. And for better or worse, the feedback that we get from people around us shift our notion of what to do with our career and where to go and where to focus our priorities. Now, I work with a number of executives and leaders in the corporate space. I do executive career and leadership coaching, and a lot of times leaders will come to me and share that they are exactly where they set their mind to, and the area that they've been pursuing for so long and working so hard to obtain. However, now that they're here, it's just not as fulfilling as they thought it was going to be. Now they need a different goal or a different vision. So if you can relate to any of that, you're in the right place. What if instead of asking ourselves at a very young age, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" we started to ask people the question of, "What would make you happy?" Imagine if you had asked yourself that instead of, "What do you want to be?" how your trajectory might have changed. Imagine if you asked yourself today, "What would make me happy?" how your future would change. Today I'm going to share with you why asking yourself that very question, even when you're looking to up your leadership skills and or looking to change the trajectory of your career, that is the key. That is the question that you want to go to. There are almost 300 people who RSVP to this event today, and a myriad of areas and probably reasons why you're joining me today. And again, I'd love to hear from you if you're tuning in live to tell me why you're here today, what you're looking to do. But the people that I'm talking to today are specifically those who are unfulfilled, even though you worked your way up the corporate ladder and into a position that you worked hard to obtain. Perhaps you feel trapped within an organization that doesn't see your value, even though you've brought your whole self to work every day. Perhaps you're worrying that you don't have it in you to step into the leadership role that your team so desperately needs in this ever changing work environment. Or perhaps you know instinctively and intuitively that you're meant to be doing work that can make an impact, but you don't know how to identify what that is. If you can relate to any or perhaps multiple of these, you are in the right place. And today I'm going to unveil the journey that I have taken over 250 corporate leaders on that have helped them go from feeling stuck and unfulfilled to gaining clarity and finding a really motivating and inspiring path forward that is often rewarded heavily by happiness, impact, and earning potential. Before we dive into what the path looks like, let's take a step back and examine this idea of happiness at work because some people scoff at this. There is a school of thought out there that says, hey, your work is not meant to make you happy. It's just a way to pay the bills. It's just a place where you show up, get your work done, you go home, and all the other things that you do outside of work. That's where you find your happiness, your purpose, and your fulfillment. Well, I wholeheartedly disagree with that. And here's why. We spend about 50% of our waking hours working. 50%. The average person spends one third of their life at work, 90,000 hours. Now, these numbers have gotten even higher as we moved into the pandemic, where we've replaced our commute time now with work. I know you all can relate to these back to back Zoom meetings, the influx of emails, phone calls, texts. We are constantly on. And so if you are gauging in work and in relationships and situations where you're feeling uncomfortable or unhappy, this is inevitably bleeding into other parts of your life. Think of it this way. If you were evaluating a new product and you discovered through testing that it only worked 50% of the time, would you proceed with launching and risk the enormous amount of cost and negative PR that would bring, or would you go back to R&D? I'm guessing that you would go back to R&D, and I'm going to show you in your own life what going back to R&D looks like in a metaphorical sense. There are all sorts of statistics and ROI to point to that really demonstrates why focusing on being happy at work is going to make an impact both for yourself as an individual as well as benefit your company. When you're happy at work, you're 40% more likely to receive a promotion. You live longer, you have higher immunity, you've got more energy, and much, much more. I know you all know what I'm talking about. When you're feeling happy in the situation you're in, it shows and it impacts the way that you show up in all parts of your life. When employees are happy, sales improve 37% cross industry, productivity increases by 31%. There's 10 times more engagement at work. The other arm of my business is I do corporate workshops. So to help increase productivity and engagement among employees, it's such an important part of contributing to a positive bottom line growth for a company. Now, all this research, if you wanted to dig more into this, because it's really fascinating, both as a corporate leader as well as when trying to motivate your team, this comes from Sean Anker, who is a positive psychologist, a thought leader in that area. And it's really interesting and cutting edge research that a lot of companies are tapping into. Here's what I'm going to take you through today. At a high level, regardless of what you're grappling with as a corporate leader, if you follow these 4 steps, it will help you gain clarity on your path forward and help you identify a path that's going to lead to greater happiness, fulfillment, earning potential, and impact. First of all, what do you need? It's really important to take stock of what you're thinking, feeling, intuiting about your current situation. And so you can learn what it's trying to tell you. Because right now, when you're feeling uncertain or when you're feeling uncomfortable, there's a message underneath all of that. Number 2, once you understand what you need, how do you set a motivating goal? And what is the right goal to set to get you to where you want to go? Number three, we're going to explore solutions. Now that you know what you need and what your ideal vision is, how do you build a brand to attract your career targets? And then number four, take action. What are the action steps to actualize your goal and get you from point A to point Z? My goal for you today is to stop spinning your wheels. I want to help strengthen your self-confidence, your excitement, and your motivation, and I want to help you gain clarity on the path forward to growth that's right for you. One of the reasons that I got into executive coaching is because I love seeing people with great potential make a positive impact both on the people around them and their environment, because you are in a unique situation where you have the capability, the skills, uh, and the environment around you to enable you to do this. So I want to show you how to spread your wings and make the most of what you bring to the table. You may be wondering who I am and why I bring this skill set and this process, what gives me the background in it to enable me to do this. My name is Amy Sanchez. I'm an executive career and leadership coach. I spent 13 years in corporate America before I pivoted to coaching. I got my MBA at USC. I went through a really pivotal personal and professional time that led me through a journey to identify coaching as my true calling. And I've been doing this for about over 5 years. I got my professional coaching certificate from the International Coaching Federation after going through intense coach training. That's just a fancy way of saying that I'm accredited in best in class coaching techniques. I started my company, Swim Against the Current, about 4.5 years ago, and I have coached hundreds of leaders from companies like Google, Johnson & Johnson, Pinterest, Samsung, Novartis. The list goes on and on. These are all just the big companies that people recognize. I've also worked for a number of small and medium-sized companies. I'm in the heart of Silicon Valley, so a lot of these startups are a stone throw away, and I've had the immense pleasure of working with a lot of them. To sum it up, I help corporate leaders navigate growth with intent and purpose so they can maximize happiness, impact, and earning potential. So let's get back to you. You've got this goal in mind or this uncomfort that you're feeling. What is the first step that you take? Now, I'm going to tell you something that's a little bit counterintuitive to what we normally do as aspiring professionals and perfectionists and people with high aspirations in our career. The very first step to take when you feel stuck is to not take action. Now, again, let me just acknowledge this is completely counterintuitive to the approach we normally take. When there's a problem at work, we spring into action to fix it. When there's a leak in the roof, we call in an expert to help. This is one of those rare times when jumping into action is actually the opposite of what you want to do. Now, why is that? Why is that, Amy? Why are you telling me that? Because the reason that you're here is likely because the playbook that has worked for you in the past is no longer working. You need a new playbook, one that first requires introspection to write. Now, to take you from the emotion that you might be experiencing in your current space to more of a 10,000-foot view and give you some sort of science and psychology behind why you might be feeling this way, I'm going to share with you Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It is very common that executives or leaders will call me and say, Amy, I just don't feel the way that I thought I would when I got to this role. And the reason why is because you have likely satisfied the rungs on the bottom of this pyramid. And the way that Maslow's hierarchy works, many of you probably already know this, but you have to satisfy what's at the bottom before you can continue to grow to the top. Now, if you don't satisfy the bottom, you can't focus your energies on the top because these are basic human needs to function at an optimal level. But once you do satisfy the rungs at the bottom, you start to think about things like esteem. How do I garner the respect, the self-esteem, the status, the recognition, the strength, or the freedom that I'm craving? Once you've satisfied that rung, it starts to become a self-actualization role. The desire to be the most that one can be. I've gotten to this senior point in my career, but now I have this overwhelming desire to make a greater impact, to help the environment, to help the people around, to coach the people around me, to help them grow. So look at this pyramid and identify where you are on this pyramid. Now that you have that insight, isolate the challenge. It could be, hey, I've got a boss that is just not as supportive as I need in order for me to meet my goals. But is it really about your boss? Or is it really about your inability to achieve peace on a daily basis or motivate your team the way that you need to in order to achieve the goals set? Oftentimes, the issue or the challenge that we're focused on is actually a subset of the larger problem. So, what we want to do is take you up a level so you can really isolate the challenge and identify the source. Here is a really good framework to help you, regardless of what you're trying to work through at the moment, both personally and professionally. Um, Take a screenshot of this, or you can see a recording of this later. You'll all receive a link to this if you've registered for the event. Go through this exercise. Identify what are the blocks that exist in you, whether it be a skill set, your knowledge, motivation, perception. Identify what piece of this challenge is directly attributed to you. Then think through what are the blocks that exist in others, whether it be stress levels. Perhaps you're in an organization that is um, growing faster than they can hire, and everybody's burning the candle at both ends, and it's an extremely stressful situation. Perhaps there's lack of experience and training with the people that you're working with, and it's causing a lot of angst and inability to meet goals. Perhaps you're in an environment where your top values are completely different from the values of the people around you. And so you consistently feel this struggle when you're in meetings uh, or when you start to communicate with other people who don't share the same values. That's going to leave a rub on you every day and start to wear you down over time. Finally, what are the blocks that exist in the situation? Do you have a lack of resources? Perhaps there's unrealistic deadline or expectations. This exercise is super powerful because it takes you from feeling like the world is on your shoulders and everything is in your control, and you need to fix all the things around you, to stepping back and saying, okay, what can I control in this situation? This exercise is going to help take you away from the overwhelm to really starting to isolate and identify what are the real problems or challenges or opportunities that exist in this situation. Now, once you've had time to think this through, I really encourage you to carve out time and space to go into this next exercise. Now, time and space is different for everybody depending on what works for you in the moment. It could be a week off, it could be an extended amount of time off, or it could be as little as taking a weekend to think and feel these next questions through. But whatever that is for you, it really does require you to extract yourself from the swirl of the emails, the deadlines, the communications, and clear your mind so you can really tap into what's happening. Here are some questions to ask yourself. What do I like about my current role? What do I dislike about my current role? What's working about my current leadership style and what's not working? What do I need to learn? How well am I able to honor my top values as a leader? What is my definition of success? How capable am I of success in my current situation? And what would make me more effective? Now, think about this. Oftentimes, when we're in a challenging situation at work, people will tell us, oh, just go get on the job boards or go brush up your resume or just go take that course. Yeah, you'll learn what you need to from that situational leadership course, which, by the way, is a great course to take. But if you just go into learning and development mode without taking time to really understand at the core what is not working for you, oftentimes you're not addressing the right challenge. This is why it's really important to spend some time early on with these questions. I also want to assure you at this point that oftentimes when people come to me because they're feeling discomfort, whether in wanting a new role or wanting to up their leadership capabilities, it is very common that this space is riddled with self doubt, comparing yourself to others and feeling overwhelmed. Nothing is wrong with you. Discomfort is a very necessary and important part of change. In fact, the most successful humans on the planet have stepped into this space. If you're feeling this discomfort, this doubt, comparing yourself to others, it means that you're on the brink of breaking through to something really, really big. Now, here is low hanging fruit at this stage. Do yourself a favor, stop focusing on what you don't have and what you're missing, and focus on what you do have. I often find that people are super hyper focused on what they're not doing, what they're missing, and what others have that they don't possess. When the fact is, by the time that you've reached a senior leadership position, it is really hard to get here without showing an immense amount of skill, motivation, dedication, and perseverance. There is a lot that you already have, and we just need to shift your focus from what you don't have to what you do have. This will help you step into a space of not just seeing challenges around you, but starting to see opportunities. What is the opportunity that's presented itself in the midst of this challenge? Throughout this presentation, I'm going to give you some examples of clients that I've worked with so you can kind of see how this journey unfolds. So you can identify where you are and help find what's going to work best for you. So when Pravina came to me, she was at a COO position at a small company that was focused on mental health and well-being for individuals. She was a natural born leader from a very young age, and she had a passion to improve human lives. That is what drove her. That was at the core of her purpose. When she came to me, um, it was with the intention of trying to get a job at Google. After we went through all the coaching work, what she realized is that her previous measure of success, which was accomplishment, recognition, and achievement, was not actually what she was looking for. It was more aligned to letting herself be the natural leader that she was and really living into her life purpose, which was to improve human lives. Through this, she came to recognize that going to a large corporation like Google, where she was just one of many, was actually going to be completely opposite of the goal that she was trying to achieve in terms of her level of fulfillment. Uh, she clarified where she wanted to go in her career and found that the company that she was with was actually the right one for her. Shortly after that, she was promoted from COO to CEO, reallocated her work, so she was delegating the work that she wasn't as suited for, that she didn't really like, to other people who were better capable of it, and filled her plate with work that she enjoyed. As a result, her level of fulfillment went from a 4 to an 8.5. I also find that this has a very positive impact on the home life too, and that certainly happened in Pravina's case. So back to these questions about what is my measure of success? What's going to make me happy? What are the strengths that I do have? This is what's going to help you answer the questions that you're currently grappling with. So at this point, what I encourage you to do after you've thought through some of those questions and spent time really tapping into yourself is to set a motivating goal. What is an ideal outcome? Well, it's likely at this point you've been super focused on the problem, but what is the ideal outcome? To help you with this, because oftentimes it's really hard to answer this just when you're in the thick of it, go through some of these questions. Think about, in the past, what did you enjoy doing? What did you detest doing? When are you in the zone? Everybody's got a condition or a number of conditions that they've created for themselves in the past that has really led them to get in the zone. So what does that look like for you? What are your favorite, least favorite leaders and why? I love going through this exercise with my leaders where they can reflect on what they resonate with and what they haven't resonated with as a way to really embody the type of leader that they want to be. What are your must haves? What are your must not haves? Get very clear on what you want. The more clear you can get on this, the easier it's going to be for you to create boundaries and to show up in the way that you want to start to attract the role or the type of treatment that you want in the organization. What will you regret at the end of your life if you don't try it? This is a really good time, particularly if you get to this point in your career where you've been successful, to kind of reflect on, hey, this could be a halfway point for many of us in our lives. Are you doing the things that you want to do that when your last day comes, who knows when that's going to be, that you will pass on with no regrets? Now, this may seem like a dark, heavy question, but if you don't ask this today, you might miss the chance to ask yourself this and realign your trajectory to the place where you're meant to go. As you do this work, we are so in the space of cognitive thinking at work and problem solving and using our mind. I want you to tap into the other facilities that you have available to you as a human that makes us very unique compared to every other creature on this earth. Tap into your body, where your feelings are actually going to manifest. So tap into what comes up for you as you're feeling certain feelings, and your intuition and your guts. Some of the most powerful and effective leaders on the planet make decisions not only based on the data, but on their intuition and gut. Data is only part of the story. There's a whole other area that you've developed that will help you make the right decisions, both in leadership and in the absence of data, which so often happens, particularly as we reflect on the pandemic and what we've recently been through. We're writing the playbook as we go. This is where intuition and gut and your bodily responses and emotions can really help you identify the path forward, in addition to the data and your rational thinking. So make sure you're tapping into all the facilities that are available to you so you can see the full picture. Next, create the ideal conditions. So I mentioned this before, I alluded to this. Oftentimes we're in the space of a challenge, we focus on the negative, and it is ripe, it can be ripe with thinking that we're doing something wrong or reflecting on what we should have said or done differently. Really low hanging fruit at this stage is to tune into your self narrative. If you are not talking to yourself the way that you would talk to your best friend, you are unnecessarily draining your energy. Your energy is probably already limited if you're in a challenging situation. So do yourself a favor and don't talk to yourself in such a way that continues to deplete your energy. Make sure that you're talking to yourself in a way that's motivating and fair. Also, tune into just the needs of that are gonna make you function at an optimal level as a human being. Get the rest, the nutrition, the exercise that you need to operate at your top capacity. Don't go to that meeting at 5:30 that is just going to be a status update. Delegate that to somebody else, get high level notes from them. Instead, take that time to exercise, unwind, meditate, spend time with your family. When you are taking care of yourself, you are more able to take care and meet the demands of those around you. And I know as a corporate leader, there is no shortage of people asking you for things. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Block off time to recharge and strategize. When you get into this space where you're back to back to back to back Zoom meetings, it's really hard to think about the big picture. When you think about the big picture, that's when you can prioritize, do your team a favor, and let them know these are the 3 priorities we're pursuing. If anything else comes across your plate, don't pay attention to it. This way you're all rowing in the same direction, and you're all putting the same resources, time, and energy towards the same goals. Create the ideal conditions. Now that you've had time to reflect and you know more about yourself and what you're looking for, what your needs are, what your strengths are, you also have created the ideal conditions that enable you to really step into your greatness. Now it's time to build an ideal vision. So, from these questions, I want you to build a really inspiring vision about where you want to go. And at this point, avoid judgment. Don't tell yourself that that's too big or that's too hard or that's too far. Sky's the limit. What is it that you want to do? I have a lot of clients who come to me and have been in the corporate space for many, many years, and their dream deep down is actually to start their own business. But they keep cutting themselves off at the knees every time they go there. And through coaching, it becomes more and more clear that that is the only path forward that's going to enable them to truly embrace their greatness. And guess what? They have launched extremely successful businesses. So don't judge yourself early when you're in this ideal vision phase. Nothing is too far at this phase. Now you have an ideal vision. This is when you step from internal thinking to external and searching, researching, networking, gaining wisdom from others. So, for example, if you are job seeking, this is the time to go out there and look at what the jobs are because you've defined where you want to go and what you bring to the table. This is also the time if you've perhaps identified that you want to enhance your executive presence, that you start to look for courses or training and development that can help you embody that. Perhaps you even garner input from other people at this point to understand what their perception is of you as you're trying to step into this executive presence role. Perhaps this is around now. You've identified you need to improve your communication skills because the um, you're not getting the outcome that you had hoped for. This is when you start to research how to improve your communication skills and look for other people who have been on this similar journey and can tell you how to get there. This can also be when you start to engage a coach. Now I know exactly what I need. And by the way, you can engage a coach early on in this process to help you with this thinking too. This is where I start with all my clients is early on. But if you're further on or advanced, uh, this is also when you can bring in an outside expert to help you go where you want to go in a more expeditious manner. At the end of this sort of exploration, just like we do with business planning, we have a large overarching goal and then 3 steps to get there, similar to what you want to do on your own personal journey. What is my overarching goal? And then what are my 3 targets to get me there? Through your research and external conversations, now you want to narrow down your target list to 3. So many times at this point, I work with people who find at this point that they have very old, broken frameworks that they've been operating in. So, for example, um, I recently worked with a leader yesterday, and what we uncovered is previously he is. Well, let me give you some background. He is VP of operations at a rapidly growing logistics company. So he's got lots of responsibilities, lots of moving parts, supply chain shortage. There has been no shortage of stress for him lately. He is engaging in executive coaching. What we also uncovered is to date, all the decisions that he has been making have only been using the filter of 2 of his top 5 priorities. So every decision that he was making was really rooted in accomplishment and recognition. Now, this process left him burning the candle at both ends, neglecting his family. He was showing up curt to the people around him, and this was reflected in his 360. So yesterday, we identified that for him, when he starts to make decisions, his decision-making process actually should go through a filter of 5 values, not just the recognition and accomplishment and recognition, but all 5 of the things that mattered most to him. This will enable him to be less regretful, also enable him to start honoring where he wants to spend his time and efforts, and give him greater ease when he starts to delegate because he was in this phase that so often of us get so often we get in, where we take everything on ourselves without trusting others to take it off our plates. This could also be, hey, I people think I can't do that. This is where you shift to thinking I can do that. You might be thinking I'm too old. This is where you shift to I'm not too old to try it. I work with a lot of people who struggle with perfection, and it's actually gotten them to a very senior role in their career, but it is completely draining them now because they have too many priorities on their plate. So we shift from it needs to be perfect to perfection is the enemy of progress, and it just needs to be good enough. This is a really important exercise to go through so that you can get out of your own way. There's this old adage of, if I believe I can do it, I can do it. If I believe I can't do it, then I can't do it. That is so, so very true when we talk about this stage. Here's another client that I worked with. This was a really interesting journey. He was the head of enterprise products. And when he came to me, he didn't have a seat at the leadership table. He was really frustrated by his current role. Even though he was in a senior position, he just wasn't being pulled into these important strategic conversations that he so craved, and he was so good with. So what we uncovered is he was really in this space where he felt like he was powerless, and we shifted him to recognizing what he did bring to the table and what he could solve in the current company that he was in. And what he uncovered is he was actually really good at taking these big, hairy challenges that nobody else wanted and finding his way through them to a really successful resolution. Turned out the company that he was in was investing their money in all the wrong places. And as he did some recognizance on the background, he identified that and shared his outcomes with the CEO. And guess what? He started to have standing meetings with the CEO. His boss was actually let go. He was promoted to his boss's role. And in parallel, he secured a role at a different company doing something he really enjoyed and making lots more money. So once you make this shift and are able to move from a position of feeling powerless to in control and influencing your current situation, this is when the magic happens. All right. So now that you know exactly what it is that you know what your ideal image is, you've started to talk to people and identify what kind of training or additional support that you need. Now is the time to rebuild your brand to attract your ideal outcome. So there can be a lot of different things that you need at this point. It could be you need better boundary setting. You might be in this place where you need to try new experiences because your life has become pretty stale and you need to introduce more fun and excitement. It could be you want to create more connections. We've all been isolated during COVID. So perhaps this is the opportunity to get out and start networking and reconnecting with old friends and colleagues. Perhaps it's pursuing projects with more impact. Um, get rid of this. Could be minimizing people pleasing. This can really get you into people being in a perpetual state of people pleasing can really be dangerous over time because you gets you away from authentically what you need and want, and you end up showing up for the way that you think other people want you, which is not always the way that they do need you. Trusting and delegating becomes easier when you get here. Taking calculated risks, learning to say no. This is so, so important to learn as a leader. Perhaps it's embracing vulnerability and job seeking or pursuing external interests. This is where you identify what is the thing, this one to three things that I really need to focus on to get to my goal. Now you are able to prioritize. Given your goals and priorities, what needs to come off your to-do list? I'd love to hear from all of you at this point. Anyone who's on with me. What are the things that are on your to-do list that are just leave you drained, that you want to get rid of from your to-do list? Would love to hear from you. So given your goals and priorities, what needs to come off your to-do list? How do we now create the time and space to enable you to really focus on the things that are going to move the needle for you, either as a leader or as a new job seeker? This can really help you become very focused and figure out what you want. And by the way, the prioritization becomes super, super clear once you get to this stage of the process if you've done the other steps right. Finally, take action. What do I need to learn to get to where I want to go? And what help do I need to ask for? So if you if you determine that you want a new role, who do you need? What do you need? Do you need help with your resume? Do you need help with your LinkedIn profile? Do you need to become more familiar with LinkedIn? Do you need to reach out to old colleagues? By the way, 70 to 80% of new jobs at the leadership level are found through networking. So if you were in the process of you're looking for a new role and you don't have networking as a part of your strategy, you are missing a huge opportunity. So make sure you embrace networking as you go into job seeking mode. Leadership. Do you need an executive coach? A lot of times companies will pay for this, so you don't have to pay out of pocket for it. Do you need specific training? Do you need feedback? Perhaps you just have some blind spots that you need to uncover, and these are pretty easy to get feedback on. But uh, ask for it is what you need. It could be that you're looking for a promotion. If you're not sharing with your boss consistently that you're looking for a promotion and really clear on what the path is that you need to follow to get there, it's really hard to. You're kind of just waiting for luck to happen. So put your intention out into the world, and so you can manifest what you're looking to do. This is a really, really important step to get you where you want to go. This was a really fun client. I enjoy all of my clients. This one, it's just an enormous amount of raw potential. She is VP of a rapidly growing bank. And when she hired me, she had little or no time to focus on the strategy and her personal life. There were procedures at her bank that were broken. They didn't have any efficiencies in place in terms of technology. They were very much doing a lot of old antiquated processes and systems. She was taking on all the workload herself. She wasn't leveraging her team and delegating appropriately. And she was going through every single email that came into her inbox after she had a full day of meetings. So she just had no time and space to herself. And she was feeling quite burnt out. So what we did when she hired me is we went through a lot of the exercises that I'm sharing with you today and enabled her to put processes in place to better leverage her team. She refined her email management system. She launched a leadership project internally to introduce greater efficiencies I mean, it really benefited the entire organization. And she found her colleagues were really hungry for, but nobody quite knew the path forward. But Anna identified it for them. She refined a broken framework that she had internally that when there is downtime, I need to work or I feel guilty. This left her in this unending cycle of responding to any and all emails and not prioritizing her time appropriately. So she wasn't able to show up the way that she wanted to, and she wasn't able to honor the priorities in her personal life either. I'm happy to report now that Anna is consistently working out every morning. She's feeling much more in control. She has time to travel. She started to date again. She is much happier in her personal life. On the work side, the bank is starting to introduce these efficiencies using people who are reporting in a more efficient manner. And the organization is starting to hum a lot better than it was previously. So small changes can make a huge impact both for you and for the people around you. All right, so if you're just joining me or if you've been with me this whole time, I'm going to sum up exactly what to do to get you from where you are today feeling frustrated and really wanting things to change to getting you to where you want to go. Start with blocking your weekly calendar. You need to create the time and space to really get into these questions and understand what it is you need and set your vision. So we don't do this unless it's in the calendar. So block your calendar for time when you can do this consistently. Consistency is key here. Start with introspection. If you jump straight into action, you're going to miss a really valuable opportunity to figure out what you really need. So slow down to go faster. Think about your top values. What do you need in your next role or your career chapter? What do you not want? What is your life purpose? Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up? What do you want to accomplish? And what kind of leader do you want to be? From this, it will enable you to hopefully identify your goals. By the way, would love to hear from you all out there. What kind of goals do you have in mind right now? What would you like to do with your career that's currently not happening for you? Just pop it in the chat and let me know where you are. From here, from this time of introspection, now you spring into action. You network, you research, you build your ideal vision of where you want to go, narrow it down to 3 goals, and then you implement. You embody your new brand by replacing old frameworks with new ones that are really going to help you and fuel you towards growth. Know what to ask for and what to pursue. If you are not putting it out there and sharing it with others, people don't know how to help you. And innately, we really like to help other people. So make sure that you're asking for what you need, whether it be a promotion, more resources, a new job, help connecting with people who, through networking, who can connect you with the right hiring managers, whether it be help with an executive coach so I can accelerate my progress on this and I have somebody to hold me accountable. Here's the key to this. You will start, once you're super clear on what you need to do and what your goals are, you will start to make daily decisions that will get you closer to your goal. You make hundreds of different small decisions every day. Imagine if every one of those decisions that you make were in alignment with where you knew you wanted to go, what the best path forward was for you. This is where very, very small steps can rapidly add up to quick progress. It is so important at this stage of your growth and the change trajectory that you are on that you continue to believe in yourself and have faith. I recently had a client who is a senior medical device sales rep. And what we uncovered through her coaching is that she didn't have hope. She had been living a life just accepting what came down and not setting her sights on anything extra because she automatically believed that if she started to hope, she would be disappointed. If you don't hope, if you don't have faith, if you don't put your trust into something higher than what you are, because we don't have control over everything, it is really, really, really hard to manifest a different outcome that's greater than the one that you have right now. So, trust and believe in yourself is such an important part of this process. Also, look for signs along the way. Now, this is always really interesting. You're going to get internal signs in your body and your intuition, even when the world is falling around you and crumbling around you. If you are on the path that is authentic to who you are and where you want to go, you will just feel this innate sense of peace, and it will take you exactly where you want to go. In addition, you're going to get external cues that you're on the right path. I can't explain this. I don't know why this happens, but I see this time and time and time again. So when you're on this journey and when you're doing this work, open yourself up to these signs because they will come and they will reinforce the path that you're on is the right one. If you want help with this along the way, if you want to work with a coach who has worked with over 250 leaders to take them from feeling stuck and powerless to in control of their situation to garner more happiness, impact, and earning potential, I have a couple clients wrapping up. My practice has been full for quite some time, but I am just starting to wrap up with a couple clients. And so I do have a couple spots opening. If you are interested in exploring what this looks like, my coaching program is easy. It's designed for busy corporate leaders and it will help you prioritize. You will explore new areas that you may have never considered that will positively impact your career trajectory. And in 6 months, you could be more fulfilled in your career. You might be asking, why would you hire a coach? Well, one, you're busy. So coaching helps you cut through all the noise and the chaos and really get you focused on what you want to do, the action steps to actualize your goal. I have a proven program that has over time and time and time again maximized happiness, impact, and earning potential. And also sometimes it's really nice to have an unbiased, experienced source who isn't your friend, your partner, your coworker, or your family member. Bonus, your company very well could pay for it. A lot of my corporate leaders, the work they do positively impacts how they show up and their expertise, not only their expertise, but their efficiency at work, their whole demeanor. And so very oftentimes you can tap into training resources, or get your company to pay for executive coaching. And I can talk you through what that looks like. If you work with me, here's what it looks like. I take you through those 3 steps that I outlined. First, we optimize your energy, we build your vision, and then we go into action. Along with this, I've got a lot of coaching tools that I tap into. An energy leadership assessment that's going to really help you understand what conscious and unconscious thoughts are working for you and which ones are working against you. I'm certified in strength and disc. I use strength finders, to help you learn about yourself, important things about yourself to help you with this. We have biweekly coaching calls. You've got exercises between calls to accelerate your progress. I also have something kind of unique from other coaches where I partner with other experts who can rewrite your resume as part of your coaching package, rewrite your LinkedIn if you're looking to change jobs, or an alignment coach who can really help to align you mind, body, and soul, which is such nourishing work as a corporate leader when you've been running and sprinting for so long. So there's a variety of help and support regardless of what you're struggling with at the moment. You also have lifetime access to my best in class resources to help you land the role that you're looking for, even if you want to start your own business. My program is a little bit different because number one, I'm a classically trained coach. The coaching world is kind of the wild, wild west right now. It's very unregulated. And so it's important to hire a coach that's been trained in best in class coaching techniques. It just gives you a sense of security that there is a proven process that they're following that works. I come from marketing, so I have a lot of marketing expertise. As we talk about building your brand, this is where my marketing expertise comes in and can really help position you to get to the goal that you want to go to. Also, I don't place any limit on your career destination. If you decide you want to get off the corporate path and start your own business, that is absolutely in scope. If you decide you want to make a radical shift to your life, I've seen that happen many times. Um, that's possible. Sky's the limit. The partner support that I talked about is vast. I know I'm not an expert in rewriting resumes, so I bring in somebody who is. So you've got 360 support all the way around. And finally, um, I have over 200 clients who have measured their ROI as rated by themselves and have increased their fulfillment both in career and life on average from a 5 to a 9. Uh, and I've got tons of testimonials if you want to see what that journeys look like for other people. I love the work that I do. I love it. And I'd be really happy to talk to you to learn more about what you're looking to do and how I can help you get there. Now, there are some caveats. Now, this program is not for you if you aren't serious about doing something different, about making a change. If you aren't an action taker, which is pretty rare, but I do see this sometimes where people just kind of stay stuck in what they've been doing time and time again. You do need to create some change in order to get to it, in order to see something different than what you've experienced in the past. Coaches are not consultants, so we don't come in to tell you what to do. The ones who do it in the classically trained ICF accredited way, but we do know what questions to ask you to help unlock you to reach your full potential. It does take vulnerability, dedication, and time, but this is what is going to fuel your growth. Uh, it's probably not for you if you aren't ready to invest the time and money in creating a career that will be sustainable and fulfilling, or if you aren't looking for deeper impacts and to impart positivity on the world. That is one thing that really fuels me, is to work with people who want to make a huge, large positive change on the world. I don't accept everybody, but my goal is really to create incredible case studies and amplify impact. If you're interested and we get on the phone, I will be very honest to tell you if I can help you or not. So, if you're interested, I am offering a complimentary career roadmap session. This is the link to go to apply. You're also going to get a link if you registered for this webinar, to put some time on my calendar so that you and I can connect, so I can hear what your career goals are, and I will outline exactly, based on all my experience with corporate leaders, the best path to take in the shortest amount of time to get you where you want to go. So if you're interested in claiming one of these limited spots, go ahead and go to this link. You'll also receive a link to book time on my calendar. And I look forward to speaking with you. I hope that this has been helpful to all of you who have stayed with me and are listening and tuning in. I wish you all the best with this changing time, with kids going back to school, everybody now shifting focus now to career and their progression, and really taking this time to think about what is the next best step for you in your career. My name is Amy Sanchez. I'm an executive career and leadership coach. It's been great to have you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.